Hey, this is Kyle Crover from Strong Dads. Strong Dads wants to thank Mansfield Insurance Agency in Bright, Indiana for sponsoring today's Strong Dad podcast. Established in 1981, the Mansfield Insurance Agency has been dedicated to individuals and businesses in Bright, Indiana, serving the clients throughout Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to Strong Dads here with Merle.
Hey, Merle.
Merle, why couldn't it be Hey Bill? Hey Bill. That's probably more.
I have talked to my parents many times about this. It's like, you don't even know the whole story about my name, do you?
I don't.
So people don't even know my name. So my name.
Everyone called you Hutch.
Yeah, exactly. And Hutch is kind of the default because my name is spelled Merrill.
Okay.
I was grown up called Merle. So whenever I'm out introduced to somebody, and I just use the term Merle because that's all that's ever been in my head.
Okay.
But then they see the spelling, and it's Merrill, and they're like, I'm confused. Who are you? Right. So finally, I just usually say, just call me Hutch.
Yeah.
So yeah. When you say Merle, that's actually from my grandma who came from Cynthiana, Kentucky. And she did not like, my grandpa's name was also Merrill Merle, and she didn't like using the term Merrill. She liked Merle. Okay. And so she started that. And so my dad's name is also Merrill or Merle.
Gotcha.
And there you go. That's the story.
That's the story. Yeah, well, you got to go back and listen to the couple episodes. Merle made fun of me because I said I sound like a hill jack. I was all stuffed up and had congestion going on.
That's right. You were dying.
So it sounded really, really bad. Yeah. But yes. So, but yes. Anyways, welcome to Strong Dads.
What were we doing? Are we doing a show today?
Yeah, we're doing a show. So, cool. Really got some cool stuff to talk about today. Going to go back and forth. We're going to talk about 'Tis the Season.
Oh man, it is.
It is.
We are in December, so I don't know if you listen to this later than December, then fine. But we're in December.
Yeah,
we're
it's
recording
cold.
this.
As you just took her jacket off.
I know. I get hot in the studio
because I'm in this area now.
Yeah, you're hot, all right. Let's talk a little bit about Christmas. Well, you know what? We better be careful. Yeah, we better talk about our sponsors first.
We better
right?
do that
and then
first.
We'll get into teasing you about your dolls and stuff that you got when you were a kid.
Yep. Well, cool. So today's Strong Dad, we're definitely excited that Mansfield Insurance is coming alongside of Strong Dads and sponsoring today's Strong Dads podcast. Mansfield Insurance Agency is dedicated to individuals and businesses in the Bright, Indiana, and serving the clients in Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. So definitely any insurance needs, go check out Mansfield Insurance.
All right, good job. So also we'd like to thank Kramer's Beer House for sponsoring the Strong Dads podcast. The Kramer Beer House was started in 1982 by the Kramer family, and since then they have become one of the Cincinnati favorites, especially if you're a West Sider.
Oh yeah,
the West Siders love going over there. So if you're looking for a great meal at a really cool setting, check out Kramer's Beer House over on 128 outside of Cleves, Ohio. So we just want to thank those folks.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. All right. So man, 'tis the season. All right. So what are you getting for Christmas?
Well,
keep it clean here too. Okay, I don't want to hear any of your garbage.
So unfortunately, Jenny and I, we don't typically do gifts for each other. But everyone at work's been saying that when I say, well, Jenny doesn't want anything for Christmas, we don't do. They all say, well, that's her hint that you should get her something really nice.
Go big.
Yeah, she go big. But as far as what I'm getting, this is really bad, Merle. This shows my age here, or where I think I'm at my age. I'm asking for coffee.
Oh no, man, you are.
I know, that's terrible.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're gonna ask for slippers and a robe or something,
and socks and boxers. No, I'm asking for a Boston Stoker Highlander grog coffee. It is.
Oh.
It's a Boston Stoker's up in Dayton where I work at, and man, it is some good coffee.
Stuff.
It is expensive, but it's it's well,
so hey, good. If it works out for you, maybe you can bring in a little sample here.
I'll bring some in
and
for
let
you.
me.
It's so good. It's like, what about you?
I'm guilty. Like I have always been about the toys.
Okay.
Like I between bikes and equipment and weapons and any of those things. I mean, I just like stuff like that. I like the mechanics of it. And but what I have found is over my years, I've become a snob about that. And what I mean by that is Linda has tried to surprise me with various toys over the years, and she usually shops for the best deal.
Oh, okay.
Instead of the best stuff. Oh. And so it hasn't worked out.
Linda, if you're listening, you should listen. You should see Merle's face right now as he rolls his eyes at you.
She does. Well, what it's come down to is we don't buy stuff for Christmas anymore, and we kind of just give permission. Yeah. And so the deal is like, hey, I've been wanting this bike or whatever, and we kind of just give permission, and then I go buy what I know I would like or have been looking forward to. So I'm a kid when it comes to that. I enjoy that stuff, but one of the hardest parts for Christmas is when you get something that you don't appreciate, right? You're like, and you probably had your kid before your kid gets something from grandma and they open it and they go, this is stupid, and you're wanting to smack your kid.
Jenny always tells her girls, you get what you get, you don't throw a fit.
Oh, yeah, hey, that's good. I have to write that down.
She's a lot smarter than I am. So when she says that and I get a gift, I gotta remember that so I don't I don't show that little face and the girl's like, Daddy, you get what you get, you don't throw a fit.
Oh, I love it. That's good. That's good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about this. I don't like winter very much. I like being in a warmer season, but I do like Christmas. I like the week or so of Christmas. Sure. I like hanging out with family and friends, and I like the food and just and again that's I think slowing down and finally seeing some family is good stuff for me. So I look forward to that. Once Christmas is over, I'm pretty much ready to be done with winter.
But we still got a couple more months after.
Yeah, we got a ways to go. Right. But let's bring this around a little bit. So, what do you teach your kids about Christmas?
Yeah, so this has been something that Jenny and I have been pretty consistent in every year with our girls. Jenny is much, much better at this than I am. At the dinner table, Jenny will have a little tidbits, a story kind of leading up to Christmas, a little story, usually a little part from Scripture, either that or she gets like these children's devotionals, so we'll go over those at the dinner table. Right now, she's got this little devotional. It's got songs, so we have to listen to a 3 or 4 minute song at the beginning of dinner, which I love. I just love it so much, Merle. No sarcasms whatsoever there.
Jenny, I apologize if you're listening to this. I just deal with him once a week. I don't know how you deal with it.
Yeah, so right now, this devotional she has, there's a little small little song. It's a Christmas theme. It's biblical based, and then the girls will talk about it. And a lot of times it's a very cliche, like, oh, we're talking about Jesus, Daddy. But sometimes it gets them to kind of talk and kind of a little deeper thought. So Jenny's much better at that than I am. But yeah, so we try and really make sure our girls understand what Christmas is truly about. And it's really cool because leading up to Christmas, we have Thanksgiving, and it's a really cool time to spend time with our family. And it's family to me and Jenny is very, very important, and we want to make sure we kind of portray that to our girls. So leading up, we get Thanksgiving, and then we talk about family and friends and the importance of that in our life, and then we get to it kind of leads right up to Christmas and what Christmas is about. Again, taking that family and friends idea and then moving into the Christmas season, but also incorporating the fact that what the season, what Christmas is truly really about. So we try and make sure that our girls really fully understand that.
Yeah. So I part of what I think we wanted to touch on today is, we have fun with Christmas and the toy thing and everything like that. But, we're strong dads, and our show here is about digging into men and getting them to really see what it is to be a strong dad, who they have been called to be, and we make no apologies for being of the Christian faith, and definitely failed members of this, right? Yeah. I mean, this is not about that perfection, but we're going to try to get into a little bit of purpose here of what are you doing, Dad, as a strong dad. And so if you're out there listening, don't turn us off. We're going to have some fun with this, but we're also going to challenge you. Like, what are you doing to help your kids get more than just the shiny toy out of Christmas? And, I remember being a kid and coming up through our faith, It was a little bit different then. We had a lot of Christ in Christmas then. I grew up, went to a Catholic school, and I remember having to go to Mass several times through the week.
Sure.
During the school day, just some different special stuff with Advent type masses and stuff. I remember my dad making us kids, there was always like a toy collection at church. My dad making us kids grab a toy or a bike or something like that and taking us up to church one like weekday night. And we all wheeled those up the aisle at church. And he made a concentrated effort to say, this is not just about what's under your Christmas tree.
Yeah.
So I think part of this is like, well, where does all this come from? Why do we have to do this?
Yeah.
And so as a strong dad, you dads out there, what are you doing with teaching and supporting the real meaning of this season? And why is this season even important? Do you even know? Or have you just kind of drifted into the secular belief and understanding and living the Christmas season? 'Tis the season.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Lots of challenges here. So when we talk about, well, why Christmas? Why do you guys do Christmas?
Man. Yeah, for sure.
For the toys?
No, I don't have my Christmas tree flipped upside down and lots of room for gifts. I don't have that. No, I think, if I want to truly explain the importance of my faith to my girls, it has to start with what Christmas really is and the meaning behind Christmas. It's so easy to get caught up in what the world says Christmas is and why stores open up on Thanksgiving now to start selling Christmas gifts. It's very easy to just buy into that. But I'm really big on being in the minority. I want to be in the minority in this because I think there's a lot of value in that. I'm in the minority when it comes to explaining and really teaching my girls what Christmas is truly about. Mm-hmm. And it is very important for my girls to understand that because my faith and who Christ is to me and who Christ is for my family has to be that important that I want to display that to them, not about the gifts, but who Christ is, and my faith is that important. So, and it really does. It kind of starts with Christmas and knowing that Christ came to this world to save the world, and just like you were saying that we are broken, we are fallen, but that is the cool part of Jesus. Like that's why he came, because we suck at being people, and we need someone to save us from that. So, but it all starts with Christ as a baby, and he was born, and the significant value that plays in our eternal, spiritual world. That we have to have a Savior that was a baby, that grew up, that lived a perfect life. But it all starts with this season, the Christmas season. So that's something that Jenny and I try and portray to our girls, the significant value in what the season really means. That is the birth of Jesus. I know there's some parents that do like Christmas cakes for Jesus and sing Happy Birthday to Jesus.
Birthday cake type
exactly,
thing.
Yeah. And I think that stuff is really cool. Just again bringing back, honing in what this season is really about. It's so important.
Yeah. I look at, again, we're calling out dads on this. We're challenging you, so please don't turn this off. This is a challenge. Accept the challenge a little bit. I look at a lot of what I did, especially early on, and what I continue to see out of a lot of dads is they kind of like look at Christmas as a little bit like a wedding that they're going to crash.
Yeah.
They have no commitment in the wedding. They don't even know who's getting married, but they know that there's a party going on and there's lots of beer there. And so the wedding crasher, they're going to show up at the wedding, or they're going to show up at Christmas. And there's so much more to a wedding. There's so much more to a relationship. And I think if we could challenge you men out there that if you're going to truly get your kids to understand that, as you said, this is the entry of Christ into the world. And Christ is the foundation, which I like to sometimes refer to as the constitution of our Christian life.
Yeah.
He is the constitution. And why do we need him?
Yeah.
Or, what's the purpose? And a lot of guys don't give that thought. They just go, oh, well, it's kind of one of those church things that we do, And we want to get a little bit deeper on the idea of why. Well, are you just showing up to drink the party? or are you going to go up and live?
Yeah.
Are you going to live this what came to celebrate this party?
Yeah.
So Christmas is a celebration, but do you even know what you're celebrating?
Yeah.
And so this is just a big deal, especially when you're trying to teach it to your kids. If you don't teach it to your kids, like if we never talked about Christ, what would you think that your kids would think about Christmas?
Yeah.
I mean, I know what mine would be like. They'd be exactly what I would be.
Yeah.
Where's well, I'd say catalogs. They don't even look at catalogs anymore. They would be like, what is in it for me?
Yeah.
Right? What's the celebration about for me?
Yeah.
And so we have to be active in saying, what are we actually celebrating? Who's getting married here? And on Christmas, we're marrying or having the opportunity to be at the wedding,
sure,
where Christ comes to meet his bride. Okay.
And the cool thing about who Jesus is and what he provides for us in our faith, like if what we've been talking about is you in previous years, if you've been that guy that just is there, just like you were saying with crashing the wedding, just there for the booze and just have a good time, not really fully understanding what the season really means. Like if that was you before, that's fine. But like let's turn a page, let's start something new. If your kids don't really grasp the idea of what Christmas is about, just start the conversation. Yeah. And see where that goes. See, it may take a year or 2 or 3 for your kids to fully kind of transition to that point where they start to kind of grasp what Christmas is about. But you got to start somewhere. And what a great time before the event of Christmas happens. Like start preparing yourself. Start start incorporating certain things into your day-to-day life to really show the significance and show the importance to your kids what this season is really about. So if you've gotten in kind of you snowballed into something where it was what we're just talking about, like if that was you, just kind of pump the brakes a little bit and maybe take a step back and really evaluate what you want for your kids. Because here at Strong Dads, we believe that Christ should be the focus of everything we do, including the Christmas season. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So I look at this a little bit like Matthew 8:29. There's a question in that part of Scripture, and basically what's happening is Christ is talking, Jesus is talking to Peter, and Peter is kind of explaining what other people are saying about Jesus. And Jesus says, well, what are they saying? And they're like, well, and Peter says, well, they're saying you're the Messiah, and you're this, and you're that. And Jesus looks at him point blank and says, who do you say I am? And you just think about that question for a second. If Jesus asked you, or if anybody asked you, who do you say Jesus is?
Yeah.
Do you even have an answer for that?
Man.
As a strong dad, if your kid at Christmas, you come up with some flippant, this is the birth of Jesus, and your kid says, who is Jesus? Yeah. Who is this Jesus dude, Dad?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have an answer for that? And this is one of those things where you go, wow, do I even know who he is and why he is so important in our life? I mean, the single most influential person that has ever walked the earth above all people, all faiths, all religions, all walks of life. Nobody has altered the course of life like Christ has. And that story starts to go pretty deep. I mean, that's more than one podcast, right? That could go for a while.
Yeah, sure.
Who do you say I am? And I guess, I would like you as a strong dad to say, man, do I have an answer for that?
Yeah. That's a loaded question. That's a pretty deep question. I mean, that might take a little bit of time to sit back and evaluate. And the Talladega episode where they're 8 pound, 6 ounce baby Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, is that do you just see Jesus as the baby, the birth of Jesus? Yeah. And then the idea of Jesus kind of stops at that point. What is he for you in your life? Like, who is he for you? I think is a great question to. Pose it to your kids. Ask your kids. I think, kids, their minds go all over the place. Like, who is Jesus to them? Because it depending on what their answer may give you light on what you're portraying to your kids. Like, if your kids just see Jesus as this person, the shepherd, and, he's got the sheep, like, what do your kids see as Jesus? Because man, if they have a kind of a construed vision of who Jesus is, if they see Jesus more of the worldly aspect of who Jesus was, maybe there's some evaluation that you and your wife or you as a man need to kind of take a step back and look at that and see.
That's a great point, because who probably gave them that perception, right? Absolutely. You did as a parent. So how did they get this view of Christ? And so sometimes we don't even understand what we have portrayed to our kids or what we have taught our kids. So guys, ask yourself that question: who do you say that Jesus is? And if what if we don't know? I think there's a lot of guys out there that don't know who Jesus is.
Yeah.
And I remember I didn't really know.
Yeah.
I remember very clearly thinking that Jesus was just like, I remember actually having thought, well, I know I believe in a superior being, but I don't know about the whole Jesus thing.
Sure.
Because maybe, I don't know, it seemed far-fetched, or it seemed like, you mean you're telling me he's the only way that you can get to heaven? I don't know if I'm going to buy that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I started to really understand the influence of my own opinion. On my own thoughts.
If you tell yourself something over and over, you start to really buy into that, and you start to believe, even if there's no truth behind what you're actually saying. You start to definitely believe that.
Or if I allow the world to listen or speak into me, where they're like, that's so narrow-minded. You're just being pig-headed, or you're just being old-fashioned, or whatever it is, that you would say that there's like an exclusivity to the club. Mm-hmm. You have to believe in Jesus to go to heaven. And when you really start to break it down, that's when Christ says, well, who do you say I am? Yeah. And here's one of my challenges for you. So you're in the 'tis the season. I have a challenge for every strong dad out there. And that challenge is, go through the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and find a Bible that has the red writing. Mm-hmm. Okay? And the red writing are the words of Christ.
Yep.
And read those words. Read them. Read what Jesus says. He oftentimes says who he is.
Yeah.
And now you have a decision to make.
Yeah.
If you've read his words, and his words are big. I mean, he says some crazy stuff. Yes, I am the Messiah. Yeah. I am the chosen one.
The bread of life.
I am. Yeah, he says some big stuff. And that's why, of course, the Jewish leaders and the high priests and stuff started accusing him of blasphemy. Yep. He's acting like God.
Yep.
Who's he think he is? Because this is way out there stuff that he's proclaiming. And so you now, as a man living today in 2019, you have a decision to make.
Yeah.
Who do you say that Jesus is?
Yeah.
And once you say that, this is the fork in the road. This is the fork in the road. The fork in the road in terms of whether Jesus and his birth is really going to mean something to you or not. Mm-hmm. Okay? And again, that's your choice.
Absolutely.
You have that.
And I think because of the significance in Jesus, regardless if you believe it or not, I feel like the red letters and what Scripture tells us, it demands a response. Like, you have to respond one way or another. Right. And obviously here at Strong Dads, we obviously buy into who Jesus is, and we're all in on Jesus. But, like, if that's not you, regardless, you can't just say, whatever. Like, it demands a response. You have to come to that decision to say, I believe it. I think Jesus is the real thing. Like, I want to live my life for him. I want to tell my kids who Jesus is. I want to really explain the birth of Jesus and why that is so significant. Or you have to say, well, Jesus was a fraud. Either way, you have to make a decision. There has to be that mindset that you make that decision. There has to be.
Right. And then you have to live with that decision.
Absolutely.
And live that life out. And again, that's where we jump into the idea of I either want you hot or cold. Mm-hmm. But that lukewarm thing means that you kind of go to the party when it's convenient to you.
Yeah.
You buy the level that you want to buy. And again, that's based off of my human desires and interest. Yep. And our faith is not about us. It's about him. Yep. And not comforting us. Yep. And that is a tough swallow. It's a very tough swallow, because I'll be the first to tell you, I'm all about me.
Yeah.
All right, I'm all about me. Like, yeah, I still want those toys for Christmas.
Yeah, let's get ready to say that. Yep.
And so dying to self and realizing, wow, if Jesus is who he says he is, I better start looking at Christmas a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I better start teaching my kids a little bit more intensively than what I'm doing. And so this is just a big deal.
Yeah.
All right? Man, well, that's just a big party pooper on the Christmas season. Now I gotta get serious and all.
I don't want anything for Linda. I just want to. I want to read scripture all day long.
Okay. Hey, honey, I take back all those Christmas toys that I put on the list. No, this is good stuff, and we're trying to have some fun with it. But we really, there is the analytical and depth that needs to be sought out for not you today as much as the generations ahead. And you and I are both thankful for the people, and primarily our parents, that didn't just give us a toy on Christmas, but showed us a little bit of the depth of Christ. Yeah. And we want to remind you as a dad out there, you know what, if you're just a dude that goes to church on Christmas and Easter, and you really just say, well, I don't know, Jesus is some cool dude that wore sandals. If that's your depth, then you're missing a great opportunity to change the course of your child's life and your own.
I mean, Jesus made some really big claims on who he was, just like we were talking about, who he was. Make big claims as a dad. Stand for something, and not just be a dad. Be a strong dad. Stand for something. Start the change in your family. It's never ever too late to start the change for your family. Start today. Why not? I mean, what else are you living for? What are your kids living for? Make those changes. Jesus made big claims. You make a big claim. Make a statement. We've talked about making that Constitution what it looks like to be a strong dad. Start living that out. It's not going to be easy. I know for me, I feel a lot. I know my girls will look at me like, man, Daddy, you really want a lot of stuff. Take a step back, evaluate who you are, evaluate your marriage, and make a statement. Put your foot down. Enough is enough. We're not going to live for the world anymore. We're living for something so much bigger than this.
Yeah. And you know what? You're not going to get it all. You're not going to understand it all. We don't at all.
Not even close.
Don't even claim to be biblical scholars. The idea here is to question. All right, to go, I need to learn more. I need to build my faith. In the day of Jesus, there were miracles. He performed miracles, and the miracles were often referred to as signs. And he said, don't tell people that I did this miracle. He said, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. And they're like, dude, why? This is so cool. He did not want people to get wrapped up in the miracle. It was a sign directing people to say, hey, there's something more. There's something bigger behind this. And so, for us as dads, dig deeper. Look for those things. Question your faith. But as I told my sons as they were growing up, my older ones, I want you to question your faith.
Absolutely.
But doing nothing is not an option. So question it. Go dig in and do your due diligence to say, I'm going to read a little bit more. I'm going to listen a little bit more. I'm going to learn. And I'm going to, oftentimes when I dig in Scripture, I dig in with the idea that I'm trying to disprove it. No, there's no way that happened. And I think the thing that just keeps bringing me back around is the actual historical accuracy of what has been found, archaeological facts that come to light over time. There's just more and more stuff that I go, wow, okay, all right, there you go. It seems to be like there's real proof behind this. So dig in that way and let your kids do that and to challenge that. Doing, as you said before, and I like it, doing nothing's not an option. It's not an option because that's gonna lead you to nothingness. That's gonna lead you to the way of the world. And again, is that where you want to go? The way of the world.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. I love it, man. This is it's really cool just to take a step back, understand, what the whole point of what we wanted to get across to you guys is is just really understanding what this season is about, making sure that we it's a great time to evaluate who we are. We're coming to the end of the season. You're going to start the New Year's resolutions, and kind of maybe next year is next year's a great time to change stuff. But let's start the process of changing who we are as men, who we are as dads, and making sure that we go about it. We want to be strong dads. Now's a great time, and it's always going to have to start with who Jesus is, the birth of Jesus, and understanding the real meaning behind the season.
Yeah, why that is such an important birthday. So, hey, you know what? This is just good. We're gonna close things out here. We definitely want to enjoy this season, and we do want to celebrate the party. We want to be at the party of the season, but we don't want to be wedding crashers. We don't want to just crash the reception just for the sake of the party. We want to know a little bit about who's getting married.
Jesus went to a few parties in his day.
He did. He was a partier.
Oh yeah.
And so that idea of we want to know why we're attending this, and we want our dads to get out there and show their kids why they're actually attending and celebrating the Christmas season. Yeah. So hey, if you have any questions or comments, or here at Rock Solid Families, we are all about trying to help families and marriages to be strong and all that they do. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me at hutch@rocksolidfamilies.org. Also, we are continuing at Rock Solid Families to try to close the gap. And close the gap, that is a financial reach that we have for our ministry to try to continue to, just as a nonprofit, to be able to fund what we're doing. Everything from we take on clients and marriages and families that can't afford to go to regular counseling, and so we do everything we can to let money not be an excuse for them. But with that being said, we need the resources to continue doing what we're doing. So we ask that if you are interested or you like what you're hearing here, to get behind Strong Dads and Rock Solid Radio through Rock Solid Families. You can go to our site, rocksolidfamilies.org, and there's a donate button on there. And so we appreciate anything that you would be willing to give us there. So, Kyle, we better do one more little ad for the folks who give us
money for
a little bit of support.
Yeah, so definitely, again, just thanks so much to Mansfield Insurance Agency, come alongside Strong Dads, and thanks so much for Crimer's Beer House down on 128. Definitely check out Mansfield Insurance for any of your insurance needs, servicing Bright, Indiana. Thanks so much, guys, for coming alongside of us, and go out there and be some strong dads.
Hey, this is Merle Hutchinson from Strong Dads. Strong Dads wants to thank Crimer's Beer House for sponsoring today's Strong Dads podcast. The Beer House was started in 1982 by the Crimer family. Since that time, they have become a Cincinnati favorite. If you are looking for an incredible meal at an incredible setting, you have to try Crimer's Beer House on Route 128 in Cleves, Ohio.